Hey folks. So I wanted to come live today. Um I had this dream on Sunday, early Sunday morning, and so I'm checking make sure I'm live. That's why I'm not looking at you. I had this dream on Sunday and I wanted to come live yesterday to talk about it, and I will come live to talk about it. It was a dream, a very specific dream about uh, the quantum leaps we can make when it comes to success and how shifting our minds can affect like just some shifts of mind that we can have in terms of quantum leaping to success. And so I was going to come live yesterday, and right when I was about to come live, I realized that there was this incident happening in my community with a mass shooting at our local grocery store. And so um, obviously it didn't feel appropriate anymore for me to go live and talk about quantum leaping into success when there was a terrorizing incident that was happening. And I was going to come live this morning and talk to you about um, this dream that I had. And again, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to talk about that. And so I figured I would just come on and connect. Like, I have a lot of friends who are in this community, and a lot of friends who are not. But the truth is, we're all affected by mass violence. We're all affected by the kind of things that can take us away. And I notice my own movement. Obviously, I'm a therapist in this community, so I've had a lot of friends and a lot of clients reach out to me and needing to talk since yesterday. Um, and I love to talk. For those of you who follow me, I love to talk about success, quantum success, soulful success. Um, And, figuring out, like, for me, when something like that happens, what I wanna do is I wanna hide. There's a sense of wanting to go into my bed and just not be visible, maybe be available for my close circle and do a lot of healing work on a collective level, but not particularly be visible. And so this is an invitation to all of you: when there is a tragedy that's occurring, whether it's your own, whether it's other people, when there's something heavy happening, do you hide? How do you handle that? And so this is my stretching, is rather than doing what would feel natural to me, which would be to just take care of my clients, take care of my friends, take care of my family, and just hide and not be on social media. This is me stretching myself and essentially sending love to all of us, because we're all affected by global stuff. Um, we're all connected. We're interconnected. When something happens in one community, really, it happens in all our communities. And when it happens in your community, you know that even you are not immune from it. In some ways, it makes it more real. And so I thought that I would come on and talk a little bit about Ho'oponopono, which has been for me a hugely supportive practice. I'm seeing some hearts. For all of you who are in Boulder, I love you and I'm sending you love. And this has been a really terrible shifting incident, because this is such a sweet, peaceful, lovely, beautiful community. Um, but Ho'oponopono, for those of you who don't know, is a Hawaiian practice. It's a very old Hawaiian practice that was taken back, I think, in the 50s and 60s by a psychiatrist who started using it in um, a mental health hospital. It was actually the hospital, I think it was in Maui, or it was in one of the islands for the criminally insane. And this was a hospital, and this is a pretty common story. It's gone around. I haven't verified it myself, but I've read it in a lot of different places, and I've read the accounts, and I've heard the guy talk who was now very old, who was a psychiatrist in that. But he would use Ho'oponopono in his hospital, and the suicide rate went down, the violence rate went down, the rate of people who worked there having depression and leaving and burnout went down. And essentially, it was a tremendous success. And so, people started going out to him and saying, "Hey, how did you do this? What was this about? Like, what is this thing that you've done with this hospital that has totally shifted around?" Including a lot of people, from what I read, who were actually able to be released, who had been institutionalized for a long time and were able to be released. And so Ho'oponopono is a very simple practice. It's 4 statements, and you repeat them, and there's a lot of philosophy behind it. But essentially, when you hear this guy talk, he talks about it as clearing. He talks about everything in life that feels negative is essentially friction. And the Ho'oponopono is there to help us clear and come back to what he calls zero, or the wholeness, the circle. Um, and so here are the 4 statements. And you can say them in whatever order you want. I always say them in this particular order that I'm going to teach you or share with you. But you can switch them around in whatever feels good for you. But I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And so, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. You could start with I love you. Sometimes I'll repeat it. So I might say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Like, I might add a few things in there. Use them and change them around and what feels good for you. But the entire aspect is we are creating the life we experience. So the idea is that as a collective, this is our life, we've created it. When something like what happened in Boulder, Colorado happens, we can blame one individual, or we can look at, in whatever way there is terror in us, in whatever way there is violence in us, in whatever way there's frustration and anger in us, and realize that these horrors, whether they're war, whether they're famine, whether they're abuse, whether they're mass shootings, they arise within a collective that we're a part of. So we have a piece of that within us, and we have a small degree of responsibility of that within us. And so when we do Ho'opono, not only are we clearing our own consciousness, our own body, our own heart, but we're also clearing the collective. We're doing the work for ourselves, and we're doing the work for the collective. And so when we say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, we don't actually need to know what we're sorry for or what we're asking for forgiveness for. We just know that for me, when I do it, I'm thinking of, when I say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm apologizing for my friction. I'm apologizing for everything in me that is not whole, everything in my mind that is negative, everything in my heart that is closed, and everything within me that, to some degree, unconsciously or otherwise, has perpetrated instability, friction, discontent, sadness in my past, in the present, maybe even in the future, maybe even in past lives. So this is a way of essentially, taking ownership and having something you can do for your own life, but also taking ownership and doing the work for the collective. So I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm sorry for everything within me that's not whole. I'm sorry for everything I have done or said or thought about or felt that in some way, shape, or form created friction, created ripples of dis-ease within the world. Please forgive me for that. Please forgive me for not remembering my oneness, my wholeness, my fullness, and essentially acting in the world or showing up in the world in any way that is not aligned with wholeness, with love, with peace. And then you can say, I love you. I'm saying I love you to myself. I'm saying I love you to all the parts of me that are wounded, that are in dis-ease. And I'm saying I love you to life, to the world, to every human, every being, every sentient being. And then I'm saying thank you. I'm saying thank you both for everything that has been provided for me, for the abundance that we have, for the safety that I have in the moment. Just the fact that I can be here with you on this video speaking these means that I am safe, means that I was not in that grocery store that happens to be one of my local grocery stores. And couple years back, I lived a mile away from there and shopped there all the time. So the fact that I'm saying thank you for that, I'm saying thank you for the fact that today I'm safe, my family members are safe, my friends are safe. And I'm also thanking life for the beauty that we have. I'm thanking life for the opportunity to even share this with you, to share love, to share gratitude. So the thank you can be about everything. It can also be thank you for hearing me. Thank you for accepting this love, for accepting this request for forgiveness. So these are the four statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And when you say them, you're saying them for yourself, but you're also saying them for the collective. And you're saying them for everything within you that needs to be healed, but you're also saying them for everything within the collective that needs to be healed. What I would say to you is for this to really work powerfully, and I honestly, it has created magic in my life. Whenever a thought comes up and I know that this is not a thought that's going to lead to the results I want, I will do Ho'oponopono. Whenever I'm in a rut or I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling lost in some ways emotionally, I'm feeling drained, like today in many ways, I will do this practice and just feel it allows me to go back into my heart and feel everything that I want to be made whole. I think this is what Ho'oponopono means to me, is it's a way of make everything that feels broken, wounded, out of alignment, bring it all back to wholeness within me and around me. So you have to find your own way to make these statements make sense. And when you can sense the feeling in there, and you can sense that you are essentially connecting to the greater intelligence of life in doing that, then it becomes extremely powerful to the degree that, like I said, for me, it's created magic. It's open doors, open possibilities, shifted state of consciousness. And it's done that for a lot of my clients. I had a client who was heavily depressed, and nothing she would do would work. No medication worked, no kind of therapy worked. And at some point she came to see me, and I told her from the get-go, I don't work really with depression, but she wanted a more spiritual aspect. And I said, let's just start with that. Let's do Ho'oponopono. And it's the only thing that's worked for her. So wherever you're stuck, it's a way of taking radical responsibility for your life and your experience, and to essentially give something back to yourself and to the collective in terms of clearing it and bringing it back to wholeness. So that's my gift to you, an invitation to practice that, an invitation to try it. And to see how it works. And you can use it for everything. When you're struggling in your relationship with your partner, it's a great time to do Ho'oponopono. When you're coming down with the flu or an illness of some sort, Ho'oponopono will work. When you're stuck in your business and you're overwhelmed and you don't know what to do and you're worn down, Ho'oponopono will work. When you're stuck with a client, you're not able to help this person, I've used it in that facility. So whatever you're stuck with, you've got some thoughts, you've got some shame, you've got some depression, whatever it may be, that's an avenue for you to use. And it's so easy, it's so simple, that there's no way we can't do it. And like I said, I think it's something, the loveliness of it is not only does it work on you and your own consciousness and your own heart, your own wounds, your own misalignment in some ways, but it also works. I almost see it as ripple. It starts with me and then it ripples out. And I'm in some way also doing it for the collective and for making whole everything that feels out of alignment within the collective, which I feel like this is a time where we need this. There's been so much suffering so much disappointment. People I've felt so lonely, so stuck, that why not do something that provides wholeness, love, and just play with it and experiment with it and decide for yourself whether or not this is something that feels powerful or not. So, just for those of you who are joining me towards the end, the four statements of Ho'oponopono to essentially bring everything back to wholeness is: I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And then you repeat that, and essentially you're clearing the debris, you're clearing the residue, you're clearing the woundings, and you're bringing everything back to wholeness in that way. And you're also taking responsibility not only for your own life, in that for whatever role you've had in creating misalignment and dis-ease in your own life, but also in the collective, because the collective is a mirror of who we are, and nothing happens in a vacuum. We're all interconnected. When something terrible happens, when wars are happening, they're happening within us and they're showing up outside of that. And we have a connection to them, regardless of whether we feel them directly or not. All right, guys, I will come back live at some point this week. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later. I'll deal with my own heart and feel when I feel like it's appropriate for me to talk about this dream that I had that's about quantum leaping into success, and share that with you. And it'll be a short share. It's just a fun share to explode our mind a little bit and think about success and think about achievements and creating our dreams in a slightly different way. But it just doesn't feel right now when there's so many people in my community that are suffering. I'm sending all of you love, and I will talk to you all soon. I'm just going to check. I don't see any comments. I saw a few little hearts come my way. I'm sending some hearts back to you. And, if you need support during this time, feel free to reach out to me. Okay.